I think he can hear you, Ray.
Don't move. It won't hurt you.
I feel the need for speed. Ow! So together we're the Three Amigos.
Right here. Stop. Batman, what happened? Are you okay?
He's slimy. Is it getting hot in here? Or is it just me?
No, go past this. Past this part. In fact, never play this again.
Hey everyone, good evening. This is Monday night, and you know what that means. It's after the weekend. I am JT Gunn Cap, and then we have
I'm Beard of Liberty.
we have like this American theme with our names.
Yeah, I love it.
How was your weekend after I talked to you on Saturday?
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. No, pretty good. Yeah. Nice lazy Sunday for me. I like lazy Sundays.
Yeah, it was a fun Saturday show. So if you haven't caught that, we do recommend it. It was fun. We kind of just shot from the hip and talked about a lot of funny stuff, old stuff, classic things. Rick was on. He gave us a little update on how he's doing. So yeah, it was fun. So if you're new to the channel, every now and then we do a Saturday show where we just kind of have a little late night talk, and then on Mondays we go live and review movies from our past. So there you go. And this month we're doing an adventures, right?
Yes.
This is the first. Yeah, this is the first movie of our adventure movies of September, and we're going to do Treasure Planet. And there's already someone in the chat that's super excited about this movie. I love this movie. This is Castercraft. This is Alaska Jeff, by the way. I love this movie. This is Alaska Jeff on my Castercraft media account, just in case I can't get to my personal account in time. Animation is the best. And then he says he's going to listen to the soundtrack in preparation. Okay. And then he said, Treasure Island, one of my favorite novels, becoming one of my favorite reimagined adaptations of the story. Okay. And he was counting down 1 hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. And then he just said howdy to all of us in the chat. Space Pirates. So yeah. There you go. And we got
I can feel his energy all the way from Alaska down here in Texas. He is pumped.
Yeah, he is so excited. He is just super excited about this movie. And I mean, I'm good on him. Maybe he's just
I think he's probably also a little bit upset that we didn't invite him on.
yeah, I guess I didn't know. I had no idea this was his favorite movie. And we could have had him on. He says pirates again. So anyways. So we have Rogue Attraction here. He says howdy. We also have Emma here. Good to see you. Jacob's here as well. He's they recycle stuff from this movie for the Ahsoka. They probably did.
They absolutely did. There's a couple of things that stood out to me.
Oh, really? Do you know what?
I can name at least two of them.
Okay, well maybe when we save it,
we
for
get
the
into
show.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. We got Ubaldo here. I'm offended. I was ejected. Most offended. Well, I had no idea that you were so excited for this movie. Now, like I said, if you're coming in, make sure you hit that like because it does help the channel. Get us kind of through the algorithm. Maybe shows people that we are liked. And then the rarest character to see at Disney parks came from yeah, and that's true. I've seen that. You don't really see the Treasure Planet characters too much. and it kind of goes with that decade when this, and we'll get into all that. But I'm excited. So yeah, Treasure Planet, really really fun. This came out in the early 2000s, 2002.
2002, yeah.
And it has a mix of art animation, and then some computer animation when they were just kind of getting started there after Toy Story. So good stuff. R2 says I tried watching this, but I think I downloaded the wrong film called Pleasure Planet. Yeah, I don't know what you're doing, man.
Let the romance begin.
Romancing the bone?
I did something wrong, didn't I?
But yeah, also Rogue just reminded me of something. I was going to talk about it and I totally spaced it, and I'm sorry. But yeah, James Earl Jones passed away. He was 93, which if I live to be 93, I'll be super excited. That's a long life. He impacted a lot of people. And you know, we wouldn't even have this clip without him.
Lord Vader, the fleet has moved out to flight speed and we're preparing to...
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral. Captain Piet.
Yes, my lord.
Make ready to land our troops beyond their energy field, then deploy the fleet so that nothing gets off the system. You are in command now, Admiral Piet.
Thank you, Lord Vader.
Would not have that clip without
James
Earl Jones. And we reviewed the Sandlot.
Sandlot, yeah.
A few months ago.
That's probably my... I've not seen all of James Earl Jones's work. The guy worked a lot. Voices in addition to live action acting. But I think Sandlot is probably top tier for like characters that he's played for me.
Beard, if you're going live tonight, I'll watch the replay tomorrow because I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. She's got school.
Okay. Good night. But are you 118 cap? No.
If you count the Frozen years, maybe.
If you count the Frozen years. Speaking of which, my birthday is tomorrow.
No, really?
Yeah, I'll be 42 Frozen years. Anyway, so yeah, he was a great. One movie I really enjoyed him in was, which, if we ever do a baseball movie theme, Field of Dreams. He was really good in Field of Dreams. He was the guy that went on a trip with Kevin Costner to figure out what the heck why he's building a baseball field. So yeah, if we ever did baseball movies, that would be a fun one to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do feel for his family. He will definitely be missed. But 93, man, 93. It's a sad loss, but not a tragic loss. All right, so Treasure Planet. Again, someone already mentioned it. I think it was the guy who was super excited about this movie, Alaska Jeff. It is a reimagined or remake or retelling of Treasure Island, which is a good book. If you haven't read that before, it's by Robert Louis Stevenson. Great book, a good adventure book, swashbuckling pirate book. So if you're a fan of pirates, it's a great story. It's a fun story.
It's entirely possible I've got a copy of it somewhere and just don't remember where it is.
And that book has been told numerous times through TV shows, movies, backstory TV shows, all kinds of stuff. But then the Disney version, Treasure Island, was a good film as well. One of my favorite classic Disney movies. Got me into pirates, and I think it was even why people really even like the Pirates of the Caribbean before the movies, right? I mean, people flocked to Pirates of the Caribbean around and that ride, and this movie was probably part of that reason. A lot of fan favorite, wishing they could be a pirate on the water.
Yeah,
the blue seas. What would your pirate name be? Beard of Liberty. Would it be Beard of Liberty?
I feel like I'm a pirate. Well, no, pirates are pretty much all about their own personal liberty. They don't really care about yours. So I could probably just stick with that handle.
Yeah, so you would be Captain Liberty,
That's right.
who sails on the Bibbity.
I don't know what my ship name would be called, but it would not be Bibbity.
Maybe it would be the Beard.
I'll have to think on that.
Yeah, my pirate name would obviously, it could be me as well. It could just be Cap, Pirate Cap.
You'd be
Or-
Captain Cap.
or a Captain Gun would be a good one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what was that up? Captain Kidd, right? That was like
Yeah.
and then my pirate ship would, I don't know, maybe the Whiskey. That might be a cool name. That'd be a fun one. If you're in the chat, you could pick your own pirate name, and you could. Oh, there you go, Old Ironside. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that your ship name, or that would be your pirate name?
Both.
I hear when you book a first class ticket on Alaska Just Bush plane, he reenacts this film for your in-flight entertainment. That's good. Hopefully. Yeah. So
which is actually quite the talent, because a bush plane typically doesn't have a lot of space. So I don't know how he jumps around like he does, but it's something to see.
Yeah. But people are always fan of pirates, right? Like Captain Hook, Treasure Island, Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay, so Jacob said that's his pirate name. All right. Well, if you all think about your pirate name and pirate ship name, put it in the chat. I would love to know what it would be. Now they did a different version of this. It's basically Treasure Planet instead of Island. And it's pretty fun if you could think about it, right? Like ships in space sailing.
Yeah. And despite it being in space, it's actually much more of a fantasy take on Treasure Island, because they don't bother explaining how they can breathe while they're flying through space and all this other stuff. And I'm okay with that, because this is like, it's a space fantasy. I don't need all the answers. Just establish your rules and play by your rules, and then you can tell a good story.
Yeah, it was great. You don't have to, do that. It's cool because it's like literally. I mean, some people suggest, the ocean is kind of like space, right? It's just wide, it's open. You don't know what's really around you in some areas.
Yeah, and in the early days of sailing across the globe, it was like the most unexplored areas. And I mean, diving down into it, it's still the most unexplored areas on our planet. And so that is kind of like going out into the vastness of space.
So if you think about that, yeah, you're right. So if you were a pirate, in the 15, 16, 1700s, a lot of the world was still kind of untouched.
Yeah.
Or by the white man.
Just pick a direction and go. See what you find.
Yeah. Inner Space. Ooh. That's a good movie, by the way. Inner Space. That's a good one, too. All right, so these are the kind of the characters. So again, it's all after Treasure Island. So the names are most of the same. You have Long John Silver, the villain / anti-hero. You have Jim Hawkins. You have his mom. You have Mr. Arrow, which I believe he's also in the book. And but the Captain Amelia and Dr. Doppler, I think, are new characters, and Ben and Morph obviously are not in the movies or in the book. But they're probably characters in the book that they relate to or kind of are. Very good mix of characters. You've got like a cyborg guy, you got a rock dude, man. You've got like a weird, goofy dog-looking guy, cat lady.
I'm just gonna say that I'm willing to bet that Captain Amelia awoke some things in some people back in the early 2000s.
What?
Look, Disney for a while there was drawing characters that that some people we know would really, really like.
Oh, it's like AJ.
Yeah.
Cat people. Well, we have a good roundabout characters here. Like these are mostly in the movie. Jim Hawkins, is he's the main character. He's a good take. He's like a kid his dad like ran away with a pack of cigarettes. and then he's just kind of looking for some adventure, right?
I think he's supposed to be 15 in this movie.
Yeah, which makes sense because in most of the treasure movies, island movies or books, he's young. And he's looking for more out of life, right? His mom's kind of like really hard working, trying to keep the tavern alive. And then you have this pirate / cook that's trying to find this lost treasure. But apparently it turns into a planet. So
it's the treasure of 1,000 worlds.
Yeah,
and it's a story that Jim has been following since he was a little bitty kid, because that's how the movie opens, with him reading through that like holographic book. Fantastic start to the movie.
And he has a cool like wind sail.
Yeah,
like he's all about the. You know what though? That haircut is very early 2000s with the bowl cut and the little. He's got that
almost a rat tail going on there.
Almost.
It's got to get a little bit longer.
And in the original Treasure Island, Long John Silver, not the food place, he does have like a peg leg, and he has that here, but he's like a cyborg. He's got like a missing arm and a kind of like an eye, instead of an eye patch, he's got like a glowing eye.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah. Look at Alaska Jeff already dropping facts. Many of the characters were combined. Yeah. Shorten the cast. Yeah, that makes sense.
It keeps it simple.
Yeah. But this was like I said, 2002, and this movie came out like in the era of Disney that they were trying to still do animation, but they were also trying to move into more computer animation, like Toy Story. But
I think they did a fantastic job with this, because I forgot how much I had missed that this is the end of that era, because it was the end of, they're doing 2D animation, but this is like the end of when you could tell it was a Disney character, a Disney human character, because they had a certain style.
Yeah. Like they were all related.
It was very kind of, I guess I don't know exactly how to describe it, but you see it and you go, "Oh man, I miss that Disney style." And it's something that had lasted for decades at this point.
Right. So like in the 2000s, you had the Princess Frog, you had Lilo and Stitch, you had Fantasia 2000, Bolt, Emperor's New Groove, Meet the Robinsons, Chicken Little, Atlantis, which came out before this movie, which had a similar feel to it. Home on the Range, Brother Bear, Treasure Planet, and Dinosaur. All great, fun movies back then that were kind of in between the art of drawing and the art of computer animation. And here's some sketches of some of the mocked up ships and the that crescent docking world, which I thought was really cool. That was like almost like
a lot of the CG, excuse me, that they used in here was obviously done on a computer, but it wasn't rendered as a 3D model. It was rendered as a 2D plane that they could just lay on top of the traditional done animation. That's how they were able to get the CG mechanical arm and leg and eye piece of Silver to match up so easily, because they didn't have to do any of that like 3-dimensional tracking and everything like that. And then you get
it was very
between Ben and Jim later on, where you have a 3D character and a 2D hand-drawn character, but it does stand out.
Yeah, and like when Toy Story came out, everything was very kind of like shaped. Like it was kind of like almost like it wasn't like a lot of soft edges, and this one still had a lot of the hardness to it. Like if they were drawn.
They designed the 3D to look like it was hand-drawn. That's why it works so good and doesn't stand out as being very obvious. I mean, there's plenty in there that you see it and you go, yes, that's obviously 3D, but it matches everything.
Yeah, so great test footage out there how they made Captain Hook a cyborg in order to test the 2D, 3D composition techniques for the film. Oh, that's a pretty cool fun fact. Is he stealing any fun facts from you, Beard? You tell me.
If he does, it's fine.
Okay. Well, let me know, because we can...
because I don't want you to boo this man.
Okay. Here's some from sketches to the movie. And here we are.
That port city space station thing looks like the crescent moon in the sky.
Right.
Such a clever idea.
So I'm gonna play a little bit of something. Disney, don't get mad at me.
He's not stealing, he's pirating.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna play a little bit of what you're talking about, and just give me a second here. All right. So here we go.
Oh, so good. I love the ship designs.
Coming to theaters November 27th.
Yeah, so so you saw there with the like this scene right here, like when you see them kind of when they fly in, this is when they're coming into that crescent dock.
Yeah,
pirate.
and this is the trailer, so it doesn't show how it gets to that sequence, but it cuts from like 5-year-old Jim reading a story with his mom at bedtime, and it pans out the window up to the crescent moon, and then as you get closer, you realize it's that port station.
Yeah, look at that. So that's a scene out of the movie there.
It's
Walt Disney Pictures presents
very
Treasure
clever.
Planet.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's if you haven't seen this movie, I recommend. We're gonna probably say that a lot, so I recommend.
Yeah,
Um,
I like it. Like some of the
if
things
I if I send Jeff a link, he'll take us overboard. Okay.
Yeah, like the sails are solar sails, so they don't rely on wind. They basically absorb the solar energy. It's like it's pushing them, but it's also they make it look like it's sending energy down to the engines. So like when the sails fill up with that solar energy, then the rockets ignite even more.
Yeah, which would be a cool way to space travel, right?
Yeah, and they do all that without like sitting down and like explaining to Jim, like, oh, we do this way, because they think the audience is stupid. They just animate it so that you kind of infer that from watching the movie.
Just when I think you've said the stupidest thing ever,
Jeff is at work. We're safe for today.
Yeah. So, yeah, wouldn't that be neat though? I mean, a lot of our satellites or the Hubble, it has solar where it like propels it or does stuff. So, I mean, it could be possible. Maybe this is something we do. This would be fun.
I mean, there's been enough ideas to you could actually use solar wind to propel something, but the sails, at least from what I've read, need to be absolutely massive, but they also need to be really thin, which technically would make them very vulnerable to micrometeorites. So it's kind of like you can do it, but how long will it work before it gets too damaged to be effective, sort of thing.
Right.
But
yeah, it would be cool
anyway.
if they could figure it out, because I would be a space pirate.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go right into the budget and box office right now. So the numbers, and you know what that means. You get to guess what those are.
11, 92, 12.
All right, budget, box office. Again, this came out around Thanksgiving weekend, November 29th, 2002. That would be a fun movie to go to the family with on Thanksgiving, I would think. And I'm going to give a hint. And again, and Beard and I were talking about this behind the scenes. We are very surprised. There are a good group of people who do not like this movie.
Yeah.
And it's very unappreciated, I think, and underrated. Especially if you haven't watched it in a while and you watch it again, and you're like, man, that was fun. That was a fun.
It's just a good adventure film, but it's in space. But they don't really care that they're in space.
Yeah.
It just it
was fun. It was a fun Disney animation. Okay, those people are Tonks. Okay, good job.
All right, Defro, welcome to the show.
Now
this was early. It was pretty heavy on the CGI. Especially once they get out into space, and there's a lot of special effects that are CGI based. I forget the exact technique they used, but there was hand-drawn animation, the 2D rendered CG animation, but there was also some 3D rendered CG animation, and then sometimes they had all three of them in the shot at the same time. So, yeah, this is going to be, I think, probably a little bit more on the budget than some people think because that early CG was so expensive.
Okay, yeah. Rick says 60 for the budget, 92 for the box office.
Yeah, I don't remember the details, but I have heard these numbers before, so I'm withholding my guess to give people a chance.
And we're gonna get into who played the characters here in a second, but it wasn't like a big cast, like a high price cast either.
No, I mean this was back in the day when they might bring in, because they brought in a few like live action actors for voices, but for the most part they were still using just professional voice actors. This was before Disney made the switch to basically making their entire main cast actors.
I'm surprised Jeff haven't put some numbers down.
No, maybe he's actually having to do work.
Oh,
maybe he knows and he doesn't want to spoil it.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm gonna. My guess was, and I had to make this earlier today because I knew I would probably come across the numbers while looking up some facts later on. My guess I was gonna be like 110 million budget and probably like 95 million box office.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll give a few more minutes. But yeah, I know the number, so I'm not going to guess.
Yeah, I did come across the numbers while I was looking up my facts. That's why I tried to like have my ballpark what I was going to guess beforehand because I want to play fair.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see here. Defro says I don't remember it being popular. Yeah, and he said 4250. So all right.
I want to say that I saw this in the theaters, and if I did, it was basically empty.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know if I saw this one in the movie theater, to be honest. This was my college years. I spent my money mostly on other things and not movie theaters.
I spent my money on not going to my college classes, and that's why I have no yards.
All right, so here we go. Estimated 140 million was the budget. This is back in 2002, and then the box office was just close, but 110 million. So they did not make their budget, even on a holiday weekend.
I actually saw some. Well, that's the 140 is like the low end estimated budget. The high end is it's like 180 million.
Yeah.
So if you go that high end, and I think especially because I may be stepping on my own facts here. They drastically increased their advertising budget because it didn't screen well. So they pumped a lot more money in there just to try to, create a buzz.
Yeah, it pretty much got cannoned, bombed out of the water.
Because Atlantis did as well, that came out just before this, and they were like the tail end of things before Disney came in and just like wiped the slate and the crew and started over trying to do different things because what they were bringing out just wasn't as popular as the Renaissance period had been.
Yeah, I think like Emperor's New Groove was like the last movie that was kind of popular.
It's so good. It's so good, but I still don't think it did very well.
They had other movies that were fun that were like Lilo and Stitch. I mean, I enjoyed Atlantis, and then they had the Princess and the Frog. Those did well. Those were but they weren't like Beauty and the Beast. They weren't like Little Mermaid. They weren't like
Aladdin.
So yeah, they weren't like Tarzan.
George of the jungle, strong as he can.
You're just mad that you can't rock those shorts like I do.
They released. Okay, you're getting ahead of us, but okay, we're not going to read that one right now. But yeah, they released it around Harry. Yeah, you're like head of the game here, but it's okay.
I'm gonna mute him. Just kidding.
Okay, here's a full cast of the voice actors. So the main big characters were mostly who were voicing them was Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which he was just around. This was when he was I think he was still on Third Rock. And then
Probably
you
would
had
have been
Brian,
towards the tail end of Third Rock.
Yeah, and then Brian Murray, Emma Thompson, David Hyde, Martin Short was Ben. You can tell that was him because it was crazy.
Well, the Ben role actually, he was playing it, I think, a lot like how Robin Williams played some of the genie. And I kind of wonder if they wrote Ben thinking they might try to get Robin Williams back, or maybe they coached him to say, kind of have that manic energy in what he did. I mean, Martin Short already can do that on his own, but it just seemed so much like that, a Robin Williams type character. I have to think that he was kind of directed that way.
Yeah, I mean Martin Short, man, what was that movie with him when he plays like a 10-year-old and he's just like, but he's like just a nuisance, like a mayhem. What is that?
I don't remember.
Like Alfie, or I can't remember. He like literally, he's so tiny he could play like a kid. He plays like a 10-year-old. It's a horrible 10-year-old. And you got Lauren Metcalf there. She was on Roseanne, Michael Winco. But this is on Criticalist, so this is a full list. If you want to see the full list, you can go to criticalist.com and check it out there. Clifford, that's what it is. It's Clifford. No. Martin Short was Clifford. Yeah, it was.
Like I said, this is like the tail end when they were using a lot of voice actors that you would recognize, and there are some of them like Mr. Arrow, Roscoe Lee Brown. You don't even have to know his name or know where you've heard him. As soon as you hear him speak his first line, it's like, oh, I have heard him everywhere during my childhood.
Yeah. Like I said, it was good. Not a big cast, like not an expensive cast, but enough to maybe do some. Not a lot of star power, I guess is what you would say.
Yeah.
Here's some more clips from the movie. But yeah, it's a beautiful movie. If you just want to watch it for animation's sake, it's awesome. It's fun. You have the adventure of just like Treasure Island. So the kid leaves this home to join on this adventure to find Treasure Planet, because the guy that was trying to hide the map dies in his home, which happens in Treasure Island. And then he goes off and he bumps into Long John, who's a cook on the ship that he's chartered to find this treasure.
Yes.
I'm
going to totally interrupt you. The map is this little orb thing that broadcasts a hologram, which is one of the things that they used in Ahsoka. And they did it better here. It looks better. Plus, they make it very clear that he doesn't know what he's doing when he's fidgeting with it, and he just accidentally turns it on, as opposed to in Ahsoka where Sabine is staring at it and she's like, oh, this and this, and like, this is the dumbest thing. You just did not have this revelation how to fix it. So I like how they did it better here.
Okay. Yeah,
they also have the space whales. You can see some of those. They did the space whales better than Ahsoka as well.
Yeah, space whales, not just whales, but it was like all sea creatures. You had even had characters.
Even things that you would expect, like a storm. Instead of a storm, they have a supernova. And then instead of like a maelstrom, a whirlpool, it collapses into a black hole. And so they're taking these things from the ocean and translating them into space, and they don't make a big point out of it. But if you know the story, or you just kind of know the themes around a lot of pirate stories and such like that, you recognize it. It's really well done.
Yeah, stingray. Those are stingrays there too. Like, it was just very well thought out. It wasn't just like, hey, we're gonna make a space movie that charters just like Treasure Island, and not put any of the pirate, ship ocean travels in it.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's just fun, and he's like on a wind sail. I'm sorry.
It's fun. I'm going to have to say this because otherwise Jeff's going to correct you again. It's a solar sail.
I know. I'm okay. Sure.
Look, I don't want to trigger him. He's trying to be good and not spoil things for us.
Okay. And then you have, like characters that were like on the boat that were kind of like aliens, but they were like sea creature aliens, which I thought was kind of cool.
You got the one pirate that's it's a head and a body that are technically two separate beings, but they walk around as one. So they look normal.
Yeah.
And the characters, the main cast especially, are really well done. Not to dive into I don't need to dive into the tropes that you would expect from modern Disney movies, but you get this badass, in control, stoic captain in Captain Amelia. But then later on, she finds herself needing the help of Doctor. What's his
Doppler.
face?
It's Doppler.
Dr.
Doppler.
Who at the
Doppler
beginning
radar, by the way.
Yes, at the beginning he is completely bumbling around. She doesn't like him. She basically makes fun of him all the time, but then he becomes the one that has to like man up and like step in to help her out whenever she gets to that point. You would never see that now, and it's so you get kind of the back and forth between those two, and they really work.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good character development here. You even get it with Jim, like he's all about wanting to be a pirate, and he wants to just not worry about anybody else and just kind of do his own thing.
He just wants adventure because he's on basically a backwater planet at a dead end job that his mom can't leave because they have to eat.
Rise and shine.
But yeah,
and Long John Silver he's kind of got this sort of Jack Sparrow vibes where he's a bad guy, but he's still kind of a good-hearted bad guy, but he's still willing to do bad guy things.
Right. All right, so Alaska Jeff kind of hinted at it already, but we're gonna do In the Theater.
Shut your drums and stop kicking the seats! We're trying to watch the movie!
So In the Theaters, again, this was on November 29th, 2002. And Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets was the movie of the year there. It got cut off there, but I'm pretty sure it was in his third week, Harry Potter. Now, I'm not a big Harry Potter fan. Is that the first movie or is that the second movie, Chambers?
I think it's the first.
Okay.
I think it's the first. I've never read the books and I've never finished the movies. I think it's the first because I think the second one is Philosopher's Stone, maybe?
Help us out here, people. Second
It's the
movie.
second?
Okay. So then you had it already had hype from the first one. And then you had Die Another Day, which was I think Die Hard. No, that was James Bond.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's James Bond. And then you had Santa Claus 2, and then you had Treasure Planet. And 8 Crazy Nights, which is a funny movie as well. And then you had not much else. My Big Fat Greek Wedding, I remember that was a big movie. 8 Mile.
Yeah.
I heard that Rick's in that movie, 8 Mile.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and a few days later, two Towers.
Yeah, so it wasn't really a good timing for this movie. Maybe this should have came out in in March. But Friday After Next, that was another.
Maybe because of the bad test screenings, they went ahead and released it during this so they could blame all these other movies for it being poorly received or something like that.
Yeah, The Ring. I mean, that was a good hit movie if you wanted to be creeped out. But it had some. It's still a good weekend.
Oh yeah.
But it had some stuff to fight. It had to really. You really wanted to take your kid to an animated movie if you that's what the crowd you were getting. You weren't gonna with the a young teenage crowd, they're going to Harry Potter. Then you got the Christmas crowd and the going to Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And then you have all the Eminem fans going to 8 Mile. So
yeah.
Why am I not on this panel?
Oh, sorry.
Right.
I was going to highlight one of the things that he's contributing so much to. And they made the movie according to the rule of 70-30, make things 70% new and fanciful, like black holes and aliens, and 30% familiar, like making the ships with sails and historic clothing. Yes, I agree. It was absolute genius.
Yeah, good stuff.
We just need to have Jeff just film like a short addendum that we can like add on or tag you in.
There's a lot to this story. I mean, it's Treasure Island, but in space.
We'll have to do a part 2, I guess, whenever he's available.
Yeah, I guess. We didn't know how good we had it back then, but we do now because we're looking back now. Yeah, and that's all. That's literally
That applies to so much of life, my friend.
Yeah, and that is this again. If you're new here, consider subscribing. But we do that. We go back in time and relive some of the good movies, and this was like when the 2000s were still pretty good. And
See, we revisit movies, but I very often first visit movies because that's my trope.
Yeah.
This being one of the very few that I've seen many times. We've covered here.
Yeah. So there's another. This is a good shot of Long John with his robotic arm and his peg legs behind it, but you can tell there's animation there, and there's also some of the computer animation there too.
Yeah, I think in that instance, probably the boat is 3D rendered. The obviously all the mechanical parts on Silver are 2D rendered CGI, and then the rest of the characters would be hand drawn. And to get it all together,
cutting up all the food with all his. That's a great arm. And all those tools.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? You had all those things on your arm that do that kind
Basically,
of stuff.
he had everything Inspector Gadget could have in his arm. He had a scanner in his eye. And he started out with a real foot until somebody decided to break it, and then he had to start. I think that was clever. They could come up with a reason to make him start walking around with a cane, like he had a peg leg, like back in the day.
Yeah, and you talked about the map. It was kind of cool when they did show like how that map let them kind of look into all the different worlds in the universe. You can see things. You can pretty much see everything and find out where all the treasure was, so they can go steal it and go put it, somewhere. I thought that was kind of neat. Kind of
yeah. But I mean, it is literally the map to Treasure Planet. That's not a shocker to anybody who hadn't seen this.
Yeah, pretty much. Loot of 1,000 worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And let's see. Oh, okay, you have some fun facts, right?
Yes, I've got a few of them here.
No, I didn't even get to play. Oh, hold on, I didn't even get to play the fun facts.
Yeah, that's right.
Look at me.
That's the fact, Jack! That's the fact, Jack!
Jeff has got me all mixed up here. He's like,
I'm gonna actually start out with one that I didn't add because it's a little bit wordy, but we're moving through this pretty quick. We could go a little bit more into the story, but just in case anybody hadn't seen this, I don't want to totally ruin the second half of the film because it's worth watching.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil it for everyone.
But
a 20-year-old movie.
Yeah, I'll start out with this. This was a little bit wordy. I wasn't originally going to include it, but I think I like it. Animator Glenn Keane drew from real-life inspiration when animating Silver's, quote, "You've got the makings of greatness in you," speech to Jim. In his words, quote, "I was 17 years old and I'd been fighting for a starting position on the football team as a halfback. And there was another player who was competing for the same position, and he was a heck of a lot bigger and the head coach's favorite guy. I worked really hard. I got to the starting position on this game, and I was very proud of it. The game started, and I played 3 plays. I got the ball once. Then the head coach took me out and put the other guy in for the rest of the game. I never played again, and I was crushed. As a 17-year-old, that's your life. You want your chance to shine. I had it, but the coach took it away. Afterwards, in the parking lot, the assistant coach, Mickey Ryan, a great guy who spoke with his heart and always had a twinkle in his eye, put his hand on my shoulder and said, 'Glenn, you're going to do great things. You're going to get that starting position.' That wasn't right what happened." And I could see that he really cared. There were tears in his eyes, and I started to cry too. I lived that scene with Jim and Silver on the boat when Silver encourages Jim after being set back. It's one of those things where you try to animate what you lived through and hope you can get close to it. And that is one of the best scenes in the film.
Yes, you are right. That scene, again, we don't want to ruin it. If you want to rewatch it, if you don't remember it, it's a pretty impactful scene. And they do that in Treasure Island.
Mm-hmm.
There's this scene where there's Long John is sort of becoming a father figure for Jim, right? Showing him the ropes, how to do things. And then Jim kind of opens up to him and like, "Hey, look, I really care about you, man. And now you're sabotaging me."
Yeah. That's what makes that the gut. It's what makes the gut punch so gut punchy. When that happens.
Yeah, but it has a good ending. So, what's your other one?
All right, you got a few more here. This movie took 10 years to make, having the longest production cycle of any movie in Disney's post-Renaissance era. After it went through production hell, though the production mainly started after the release of Hercules in 1997.
Wow, think about that. 10 years. I wonder how long it takes movies to make now, animated movies. I wonder how long it takes.
Apparently they did the bulk of it after 97, so it was just in like the early pre-plating stages of, okay, you can do this. Never mind, we're not going to talk to you right now because we got this other thing we want to worry about, sort of kind of setup.
Toy Story.
Right. Yeah. In the opening scene in young Jim's bedroom, on the shelves, there is a hidden Mickey Mouse figurine while his mom is reading a story to him. But also on the bookshelf, there is a Stitch doll in an astronaut suit.
So maybe Lilo and Stitch are in the same universe.
It's kind of like how is it? Pixar will hide something, but they do it for future projects in most of their movies. But anyway, a couple of the potential castings: Tom Cruise, Michael J. Fox, Anthony Michael Hall, and Jared Leto were all considered for the role of Jim Hawkins.
Wow, Michael J. Fox,
was cast. Fox had already voiced Milo Thatch in Atlantis: The Lost Empire the previous year. And then a couple.
He was good in that movie. He was good.
Yeah. Bob Hoskins was considered to voice Long John Silver. I think he actually would have worked as Long John Silver.
Yeah.
And John Ratzenberger, friend of the family. I haven't met him, but my cousin's family. He's a good close friend with him. I just like dropping that out there, not because it's like, hey, I know a famous guy, but he is genuinely like one of the nicest people ever.
You know a
and
famous
if I
guy.
ever get a chance to brag about him, I'm going to brag about it because he is badass, and I want to shake his hand before either of us die. But he was considered to voice Ben, the robot. Would eventually went to Martin Short. And lastly, a planned sequel was canceled due to this movie's failure at the box office. And when John Lasseter was appointed CEO of Walt Disney Animation Studios, his first task was to cancel all sequels and all television shows. In the proposed treatment, Jim Hawkins and Kate, his new love interest, must team up with Long John Silver to stop the villainous Ironbeard from freeing the inmates of Botany Bay Prison Asteroid, in which Willem Dafoe was set to voice Ironbeard.
That would have been a fun movie.
Yeah,
back then the sequels would have gone to DVD.
Potentially, I mean, most likely, yes. Wasn't always guaranteed.
You know what they should do now? They should do that now. Someone should come in and say, no more sequels. no more. Was this? Can we just make new things? No Disney.
Yes.
No sequels. No Marvel. No. Star
we need somebody
Wars.
to come in and be like the Scarlet Witch whenever she just the House of M comics where she said no more mutants and like most of them just vanished from reality.
Yeah, just make new stuff.
Yeah.
Might work for you, Disney. The reason for the delay was because the company was sabotaging them, using the film as a carrot on a stick for the creators. They would say things like, work on Aladdin and then you can do the film. Oh.
Wow.
Disney, sometimes they're pretty ruthless. They're like pirates.
Yeah.
Sometimes Disney are like pirates. So, that's interesting.
I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the really good stuff that they came out with happened because of kind of some of the shadier stuff behind the scenes. I've heard some stories from other animators on during like interviews on YouTube. I don't remember the details of it.
Right. Well, remember when we did Pete's Dragon a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
They had a specific budget for the dragon, right? And then they liked the guy who drew the dragon so well. He did so well. They're like, oh, we want more. But they didn't want to increase the budget or extend the deadline. And he had to crank all that out to get it done.
And not get paid for the overtime. But another guy ended up getting 3 months paid of vacation just because they worked like 80-hour weeks. Oh,
Yeah.
it's Don Bluth. I can't believe I forgot that name. That's Don Bluth.
Yeah, it's Dawn. So Disney seems to have been pretty shady for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe after Walt Disney, I have no idea. Any more fun facts?
Those are the only ones that I wrote down. There's plenty of them out there, but a lot of them kind of get further into spoiler territory. And again, it's an old movie, but dang it, just go watch it.
Yeah, just go watch it. One little spoiler is Jim does make something of himself. He does become he does get, I can't remember the name, it's like some type of an academy. He does
the Royal Naval Academy.
Yeah. He gets to do what he wants to do, is be on the sea, not really as a pirate, but on the sea, or in the space, on the space.
Yeah.
And then there's a scene right there with Long John and him, and so this is basically what Beard was talking about, where they kind of have this like father son type of thing, which was really good, and so you do get a lot of that. Now, here's a cool painting of this movie. You can probably buy this at one of the Disney stores. If you ever been to one of the Disney art stores in the mall or at Disneyland or Walt Disney World, they have a lot of Treasure Planet pictures because the visuals are just great. But they're just thousands of dollars. So if you can afford that, I recommend that you could get one. But they're really pretty. There's another one there. So really, really cool.
Yeah, that was one of the facts that I considered earlier. Was the movie's whole look was based on 19th century oil paintings.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It looks beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. And the music, I forgot to mention, the music is also really good. The songs, there's singing in this movie, but not a lot. But
they definitely take you back to the early 2000s whenever you get a couple of songs that actually are not soundtrack or like a score.
Right. All right. So now we're going to do our final thoughts on criticalist.com. And then after we do criticalist.com, I have something fun for you all that you didn't know about. Maybe you did. Maybe Jeff knows about it. I don't know, but I didn't know that, and I thought that was pretty fun. And it's related to this movie. All right, so criticalist.com, again, this is where we put our final thoughts. And this is a site where critics that aren't critics review movies. And there's some really cool tools out there that you can kind of judge how you like a movie, where to watch it. You can see the overview, the cast, the directors, all of it. And it's a fun little site. And again, what do we always say, Beard, when we talk about Criticalist?
We're not sponsored. We just like them.
Yeah, we think they're good friends. All right, so let's do our ad review here. Will be number 6. So again, this is Treasure Planet from 2022. And I'm just going to go all the way probably around here. I think it's a pretty fun, rad movie. So, especially if you're a kid.
79%, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be more than that.
You want to go higher?
I go low 80s. It's got to break 80 at least.
Okay, you're like in this area?
Yeah, I can go with that.
Okay. All right, we'll go with most excellent. We could do that. There's not really any graphic language at all.
Nope.
No, it's a Disney film. There's no nudity. There's really no, but it is definitely 100% family friendly.
Absolutely.
And this is a new feature that Criticals has added. It's called how much entertainment value. So like maybe it's a bad movie, but it's fun to watch. Right? It's entertaining to watch, but it's a bad movie. We've done some of those on this show.
I'm going to need to go back and update some of my reviews.
I would say the entertainment value is a ton. I think it's a fun movie.
Jeff says it's a solid 9.
Okay, there's not a 9 on here.
Well, I mean, it's 90. It would be 90 on Criticalist score.
Okay, Jeff is saying 90. Okay,
and I kind of would normally agree, but I'm very picky about what I put at 9s or higher.
Yeah, yeah. They, a lot of people though. Like, before I hit submit here, I was gonna find something. I lost it. A lot of people say this is a flop. Like it was a flop according to the budget and like the box office. Yes, it's a flop, but it's actually a fun movie. So, You know, it didn't make money. Just because a movie didn't make money doesn't mean it was not a good movie. It's just it didn't get talked about a lot. You know what I mean? So, but
Did you post this review on the YouTube URL? I don't know. Do we add this to the description?
we do when the live stream's done. It's not like for some reason it's
Okay,
on
yeah.
a time. It works. So
yeah, we'll this review will also be linked on the review on Criticalist. You can see that right there, the YouTube URL.
Yeah.
So that'll be updated. So anybody that sees this, if they actually want to see us talk about it, they can come on over.
So there you go. I put that quote in there.
That was more fun than I ever want to have a kid. That sounds negative, but I'll take it.
Okay. So okay. But yeah, Criticalist, good site. There you go. We submitted our review there. All right. So yes, the new one is entertainment value, which is pretty fun. And we do put our YouTube link in there after the live stream. All right. So I'm going to show you something else that I thought was pretty funny. And you can take this however you want. And maybe Alaska Jeff might know this, but there's another treasure planet movie. It's called The Treasure Planet. It actually came out in 1982. And here it is.
Oh.
So this is called Treasure Planet, but it's in the, if you were to purchase it or see it somewhere, it says The Treasure Planet. 1982, so about 20 years prior. No one's reviewed this movie.
Maybe we should.
But here's the overview. Adventurer Felipe ventures on a quest with Commander Smollett to stop a villain in search of a gem that will restore life on Earth. And here's like
that
a picture.
Almost sounds like that sounds like a.
Now look at those look like characters that could be in the movie we just reviewed.
Yeah, that synopsis actually sounds a little bit closer to Titan AE.
It does.
The Treasure Planet that we got, and apparently this is a Bulgarian animated film.
It is Bulgarian. Yep.
But it says, at least claims, is an adaptation of the same novel.
Yep.
So
maybe we'll review that one day.
62 minutes long.
Yeah, Titan AE. Oh, Titan AE. You didn't like Titan AE? I thought it was fun.
It was all right.
Titan AE did even worse. Yeah. The art school that I went to in Arizona, three of the instructors there worked on Titan AE for Fox, because that's when Phoenix had the Fox animation. They also worked on Anastasia. So they were always talking about that movie. There was posters all over the wall. It was like crazy, like their badge of honor, but it wasn't that great. They had fun doing the movie. It just didn't do very well. So. Yeah,
that would be one that if we were to review it would have a higher entertainment score than
negative.
See, this is why you're not on the panels, Jeff. We never know when you're going to turn heel.
Yeah. Well, that's Treasure Planet. Literally, final thoughts. I haven't seen it in such a long time, but it was fun to rewatch, relive, unappreciated movie. If you have a kid that's interested in pirates, show them this movie.
Or sci-fi. I only watched it because it was sci-fi.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah.
Alrighty, before we wrap it up here, we've got, just to let you know, the weather is cooling off in some places of the U.S. So if you would like the ATW hoodie, we have one. Go to mixtees.com after the weekend. It does support the channel if you get one, and then we'll take 20% off there with our code ATW20, and then it helps out the Pop Bros too, because that's their website over there. They're also a YouTube channel.
I'm looking forward to the cooler weather, not because I like cool weather, but because I can bust that hoodie out again, because I basically wore that every stream, every time during the winter.
You just want to wear the hoodie. That's all you want to do.
Exactly. That's all I want.
Yeah, so you can check us out there. You can support us there. You can support us by liking. You can support us by subscribing. And this is what you get. Just usually there's 3 of us. Rick's under the weather. But there's me, R2, and Beard of Liberty, and we all kind of talk about.
He was still here putting awkward bad jokes in the chat for us to throw us off.
He was
doing his part. Yeah.
So next week, continuing the adventure, we are going to do for our 99th episode. This was not episode, but a review. 99th review. We're going to do Jumanji. And from the Saturday show, I guess I have to be specific. It's the board game movie, Jumanji, not the video game movie that came out with The Rock.
Yes.
It is Jumanji with Robin Williams. And that's our next adventure movie that we're doing next Monday. So that should be fun. And then we have a very special episode after that, our 100th review, which we are going to review Goonies with a group of people that are friends of the channel. We'll save the guest surprises who they are. That should be a fun stream. Talking Goonies. Beard's never seen Goonies. It should be fun. It should be a heck of a lot of good time talking about that movie. I haven't seen that in a while either. So it's adventure week for September. Yar. Let's see. Yeah, you're already gonna get it.
What, are you new here? That's my thing.
Yeah, like, are you new? Like, wait, I don't even have a clip to say that this is how silly it is because we know.
Defro, I only saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off this past year because of this show. There's a lot of those classic movies that people are shocked I have never seen.
Yeah, it's just this thing, man.
Yeah, it's my shtick.
Yeah, Jumanji is great. So the first one, the Robin Williams board game movie, is what we're doing, not the Rock video game. So I'm gonna put that in the title: reviewing Jumanji, not the one with the Rock. So, anyways,
or just put the good one and let people decide what they think the good one is. They might jump in and be disappointed, but at least they show up.
Maybe on the thumbnail I can put The Rock and then Robin Williams and just put Jumanji, the good one. Maybe. All right, everyone. You have a good night. This has been fun. Before we let you go, Beard, I know you have a link tree.
Yes. Linktree / Beard of Liberty. To keep it simple, I'll just plug the very next thing I have, which is tomorrow, which, serendipitous, is pirate themed on Jacob of the Ironside's channel. It's going to be Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. That's going to be a fun revisit. It's been years since I've seen it, but I love that movie.
Yeah. Another great Disney pirate movie. Disney does good pirate movies. Maybe because they are pirates.
Good pirates movie. They did good pirate movies.
Maybe because they were pirates.
Anyway, yeah, I've got a couple other things. Like I said, Linktree / Beard of Liberty. I'm going to keep it simple, and if you want to know where I'm going to be, that's there.
Yep. And over there on Late Night with Cap, it's still just some mysteries, history stuff going on over there. Next week we are doing our monthly live stream with Defro. He's on the channel. We're going to do something with Art Bell again. Don't want to give it away, but it should be fun. And you can find me over there at Late Night with Cap. And then, like I said, next Monday we're doing Jumanji, and then Goonies next. So hopefully we can see you around. Make sure you hit the bell. That way you know when those all go live. All right, Beard, you want to say like a funny pirate send-off?
I didn't come up with something like that. I'll just stick with that that last line from that speech that Silver gives to Jim. And this goes out to anybody that needs to hear it. You've got the makings of greatness in you.
Thanks. All right, everyone. See ya and be safe out there. We'll talk to you again later.
Truck to refrigerators to dumpster, 360 spin onto the Palace, backflip gainer into the trash.